The street was awash with a heavy downpour, the first after the oppressive heat of late summer. The temperature finally dropped a noticeable amount, and passers-by donned clothes they had prepared in their closets long ago. Kylie Thompson stood at the restaurant entrance, shaking the rain off her umbrella. She hesitated for a moment before pushing the door open and stepping inside. Actually, she had been standing across the street at the crosswalk, seeing Ryan Anderson sitting by the window through the restaurant's clear glass and the heavy rain. And Ryan Anderson had also seen Kylie Thompson walking towards him with an umbrella from afar. He smiled at her through the glass. Kylie Thompson was led to the window seat by a server, and she straightened herself as she followed behind. After all, this might be one of the last times she and Ryan Anderson would meet, and she didn't want to leave him with too bad of an impression. The man at the table didn't seem affected by the heavy rain. His suit was so clean, there wasn't even a speck of dust on it. "Is work busy these days?" Once Kylie Thompson sat down, Ryan Anderson spoke. His voice was still gentle, but it had more maturity and stability than the youthful energy of the past. Kylie Thompson took the lemonade the server offered, moistening her slightly dry lips. "It's busy, teaching 2 graduating classes. What about you?" "It gets a bit hectic at the end of the year." They awkwardly and distantly asked each other about their recent lives. Just as Kylie Thompson was about to drink her 3rd lemonade, the food arrived. There was fried chicken and mac and cheese, which she used to love. But that was food she used to love. When Kylie Thompson bypassed the fried chicken for the 2nd time to pick at the greens, Ryan Anderson noticed something was wrong. "You don't eat it anymore?" "I'm getting older, and I prefer lighter flavors," Kylie Thompson said truthfully, not hiding anything. If it had been before, she might have made an excuse or eaten a few bites out of consideration for Ryan Anderson. But she didn't want to do that now. She had to make herself, and Ryan Anderson, see clearly that they didn't even know each other's most basic preferences anymore. The meal wasn't very lively, and Kylie Thompson didn't have much of an appetite. When they were almost finished eating, she spoke up. "What time should we go to City Hall tomorrow?" A flicker of emotion flashed in Ryan Anderson's eyes, but it quickly disappeared. He looked at Kylie Thompson and said, "You decide." Kylie Thompson didn't decline and directly set a time. "Then let's say 10 o'clock tomorrow." Ryan Anderson had no objections. They didn't have any children, which avoided a lot of disputes. And Kylie Thompson had no intention of taking a share of Ryan Anderson's accomplishments over the years. On the contrary, Ryan Anderson insisted on leaving Kylie Thompson a house. Ryan Anderson paid the bill when they left the restaurant, and Kylie Thompson didn't argue with him. The rain outside had already stopped, leaving only puddles of water on the uneven road. The air was filled with the scent of rain, mixed with a cool autumn breeze that made exposed skin shiver. Kylie Thompson had intended to part ways with Ryan Anderson at the restaurant entrance. But he spoke first. "Kylie Thompson, want to go back and see our high school?" Kylie Thompson paused for a couple of seconds and didn't refuse. Their old high school wasn't far from the restaurant, just across the street. The security guard at the school entrance wasn't the same one from back then, so Ryan Anderson used 2 coffees to get 2 graduation down jackets. He and Kylie Thompson each put one on and slipped inside under the cover of night. The layout of the school hadn't changed much, and you could still vaguely see the shadows of their school days. Kylie Thompson had been back not long ago, but Ryan Anderson hadn't been back for many years. Even the last time he returned to Los Angeles was half a year ago. Seeing all this, Ryan Anderson was filled with emotion. People who wander outside for a long time inevitably miss their hometown. It wasn't that he hadn't thought about having Kylie Thompson stay with him in New York City, and it wasn't that he hadn't thought about giving up everything to return to Los Angeles. It was just that they both had things they couldn't let go of. "Which class is loitering outside? Aren't you going back to evening study hall?" The security guard in the distance shone his usual large flashlight on them. Even though they were almost 30 years old, they were stunned by the scolding. Ryan Anderson was the first to react, grabbing Kylie Thompson's hand and rushing towards the teaching building. Kylie Thompson followed Ryan Anderson's pace, the autumn wind blowing against them and lifting the corners of their graduation down jackets. In that instant, Kylie Thompson felt like she saw Ryan Anderson from back then again. The messy hair of the running boy, the beads of sweat down his neck, that unrestrained smile, and the warm, sweaty feeling in his palm. It was on a certain afternoon in that summer that she met Ryan Anderson. Summer of 2007. It was the transition from junior to senior year, a time of boredom, heat, and monotony. Los Angeles High School number 2 always strictly enforced tardiness at this time, but Kylie Thompson overslept during her afternoon nap at this critical moment. When she woke up, there was only a quarter of an hour left before the afternoon class. Kylie Thompson didn't even comb her hair, and she grabbed her bag and rushed to school. Fortunately, she stepped into the school gate as the bell rang. She escaped the school security guard, but not the senior year's dean's inspection. Just as she was crouching at the corner of the corridor on the 4th floor, preparing to sneak into the classroom through the back door, when he geography teacher, who was lecturing with spittle flying, turned around. The dean's booming roar startled Kylie Thompson. "Which class is late? Get over here!" Before Kylie Thompson could react, her left hand was grabbed. She was running and being dragged downstairs by that person, with the boy's messy, short hair in front of her, and the corner of a math textbook peeking out from the unzipped backpack on his back. Sweat from his hair flowed down his neck, slowly into his graduation gown, into the line of his back. She was surrounded by the summer heat, the incessant chirping of cicadas in the trees, and the clammy feeling in her palm. The triple impact of sight, touch, and hearing left Kylie Thompson's mind blank, unable to remember anything at that moment. After running down a few floors and around a few corners, Kylie Thompson finally came to her senses. The boy in front of her also stopped running. He turned around, bent over, and rested his hands on his knees, panting. Kylie Thompson leaned against the railing, breathing heavily, and her forehead was covered in a fine layer of sweat. "Remember to hide from the dean next time you're late. If he catches you, he'll call your parents," the boy said in a gentle voice with a melodic cadence. Kylie Thompson looked around 360 degrees, afraid of being caught by another teacher. After looking around, she finally focused her gaze on Ryan Anderson's face. This face. It was kind of good-looking. That was the first adjective that came to Kylie Thompson's mind about this face. Her gaze slid down that face to the name tag on his graduation gown. Senior year, Class 11, Ryan Anderson. Class 11 was the Science Honors class, also the best science class. And Kylie Thompson was in Class 1, the Arts Honors class. Seeing Kylie Thompson staring at him in a daze, Ryan Anderson waved his hand in front of her. "You should get back to class quickly, before the dean spots you again." By the time Kylie Thompson came back to her senses, Ryan Anderson had already walked away, leaving her with only his back view. That day, Kylie Thompson was absent-minded all afternoon. She repeatedly recited this name in her mind, Ryan Anderson, Ryan Anderson. After reciting it all afternoon, she still couldn't remember where she had seen this name before. That evening before evening study hall, Kylie Thompson couldn't hold back and quietly asked her classmate, who only knew how to study, "Do you know Ryan Anderson?" She wasn't sure if this person was famous enough for everyone in the school to know him. Her classmate wasn't a gossipy person, and she had originally wanted to ask her good friend Luna Garcia, but Luna Garcia was a blabbermouth, and any gossip she knew would spread far and wide before long. Her classmate's reaction surprised her. Ryan Anderson, the top student in science, he's always on the honor roll, who doesn't know him? Kylie Thompson then remembered that she seemed to have seen this name a few times when looking at the honor roll. But because she was in arts, she didn't pay much attention to the science honor roll. And Kylie Thompson was the kind of person who only knew how to bury herself in her studies, so she always heard about the gossip of the grade from Luna Garcia. Maybe Luna Garcia had also told her about Ryan Anderson's gossip, but she hadn't paid attention. The bell for evening study hall rang, and the students walked from the corridor to the classroom. Kylie Thompson didn't respond to her classmate, but instead put her left hand under the table and rubbed her palm with her right hand. The feeling from that afternoon still lingered in her palm, itchy and distracting. When there's no interaction between people, they won't take it to heart even if they meet. But once there is even a little interaction, people can sense each other's existence even from a distance. Ryan Anderson was that kind of existence to Kylie Thompson. Since that afternoon, I.E. Thompson found that Ryan Anderson appeared in her life more and more often. People she had never seen at school before, she now met every day. In the corridors, on the playground, in the school store. It was all Ryan Anderson's figure. And her eyes always followed that figure. That was the beginning of a crush on Ryan Anderson. The atmosphere of studying in senior year was always tense, and everyone seemed to be racing against the clock to gain an extra point. For Kylie Thompson, the only relaxing time in senior year wasn't sleeping or the 2 days of breathing room after the stressful monthly exams. It was the few minutes she spent buying a bagel at the breakfast stand in front of the school gate. Because those were the few minutes she was closest to Ryan Anderson. Sometimes she was unlucky, and the previous batch of bagels had just sold out, so she had to stand in front of the stand and wait for a few minutes. Sometimes she was lucky, and there were still some left, and the owner would pack them in a bag and she could leave. Of course, Kylie Thompson hoped the time could be longer, the longer the better. Ryan Anderson ate bagels 4 days a week. Specifically, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Senior year students had to be in class by 6:30, and Ryan Anderson always went to buy bagels between 6 o'clock and 6:10. Then he would stand in front of the classroom door and give himself 20 minutes to memorize English while eating a bagel. In order to pretend to bump into Ryan Anderson, Kylie Thompson had to coordinate her time with him and appear at the bagel stand at 6 o'clock on those 4 days. Then, carrying a bag of bagels, she would follow Ryan Anderson into the teaching building. The arts honors class and the science honors class were across from each other, and Kylie Thompson would imitate his behavior and stand in the corridor eating a bagel. Sometimes she memorized politics, and sometimes she memorized English. However, in one encounter after another, Ryan Anderson didn't recognize her. They were still strangers, and that hot, cicada-filled afternoon seemed like an unrealistic fantasy of Kylie Thompson's. Day after day. From the heat of summer to the cold of winter. Summer uniforms were replaced by autumn uniforms, and autumn uniforms were covered by winter down jackets. The bagel stand was still open for business every morning, and Ryan Anderson's time had moved from 6 to 5:50. On the eve of the final exam of the first semester of senior year, Kylie Thompson was summoned to the teacher's office by her homeroom teacher. The moment she pushed open the door, the glasses she had forgotten to take off her nose were covered with a layer of fog by the warm air in the office. Even so, Kylie Thompson still heard a familiar voice coming from not far away. "Teacher, my goal is still NYU, New York University." After a moment, the fog dissipated. Kylie Thompson saw the person standing not far away. The boy stood tall and upright, like an unyielding pine tree. "Kylie Thompson, come here," the homeroom teacher called her over. She didn't hear Ryan Anderson's side anymore, but her thoughts didn't linger on what the homeroom teacher was saying. Her mind was full of the sentence, "My goal is still NYU, New York University." It turned out that time had quietly passed by without her realizing it. In just over half a year, SAT, graduation, filling out college applications, and being separated would come one after another. And before that, her desired SAT choices had always been within the state. She had never considered going to school so far away from Los Angeles. In the last final exam of the first semester of senior year, Ryan Anderson, unsurprisingly, was still the top student in science. On the other hand, Kylie Thompson unexpectedly squeezed into the top 3 in arts. That year's winter break, senior year students only had a week off. After briefly welcoming Christmas, Kylie Thompson and still met Ryan Anderson at the bagel stand on time. Though she hadn't seen him for a week, his hair seemed to be a bit longer, and his height seemed to have also increased. In the past, when she stood next to him, she only reached his shoulder, but now she had to look up slightly to see his face. In 2008, global warming. It snowed heavily in almost every city in America, and even Los Angeles, a city in the South, had the biggest snowfall in history. Kylie Thompson remembered that it was snowing heavily when they were in math class. As soon as class was over, everyone rushed to the corridor like crazy, overjoyed. This was normal, since it rarely snowed in Los Angeles. When Luna Garcia pulled her into the corridor, she didn't see Ryan Anderson's figure in the opposite corridor. Luna Garcia, I want to go get a coffee. Kylie Thompson made an excuse to walk towards the science class. Luna Garcia was completely absorbed by the snow outside and didn't notice anything wrong. Go, go. Kylie Thompson walked towards senior year, class 11, with her water cup. Their classroom door was also surrounded by students who had rushed out to see the snow, and Kylie Thompson weaved through the crowd, finally squeezing to the door. She pretended to glance into the class casually and saw Ryan Anderson. He was sitting by the window, burying his head in a test paper. He didn't seem to care about what was happening outside. It wasn't until a few boys came in from the back door, walked up to him, and forcibly pulled him out of the test paper that a smile appeared on Ryan Anderson's face. Kylie Thompson saw all this, but she didn't stay in the science class for long and returned to the arts class after making a detour. Although they couldn't see the snow at the same time, Kylie Thompson met Ryan Anderson again that night after evening study hall. Few people voluntarily stayed at school for 3 evenings, especially in such a cold winter. But Kylie Thompson volunteered to stay. After the 3 evenings, Kylie Thompson walked towards the school gate with her backpack as usual. After coming down the stairs of the teaching building, she immediately saw Ryan Anderson, also carrying a backpack, walking in front of her. Only 2 rows of dim streetlights lit the road leading to the school gate. The light projected by the streetlights created one circle of light after another on the ground, and the circles were filled with small snowflakes flying in the wind. There was a thick layer of snow underfoot, and Kylie Thompson quickened her pace. Each of her steps landed in the footprints left by Ryan Anderson, one deep and one shallow. The boy's shoulders and hair were covered with a thin layer of snow. Kylie Thompson gathered a few strands of hair that had fallen from behind her ear, and the ends of her hair were also covered with a few salt-like snowflakes. The headphones in Kylie Thompson's ears were playing an English listening exercise. When she looked up at Ryan Anderson, the listening exercise was playing the sentence, "When I fall in love with you." Kylie Thompson felt her heart beating faster. Winter went and spring came. The study tasks of the second semester of senior year became more and more intense, and Mrs. Thompson didn't allow Kylie Thompson to continue eating breakfast outside. Kylie Thompson also had fewer opportunities to bump into Ryan Anderson. But every time she passed the bagel stand, she would still stop there for a while. Kylie Thompson stared at Ryan Anderson again openly at the graduation ceremony countdown rally. All the students were standing on the playground in neat spring uniforms. There were 10 classes between their 2 classes, and Kylie Thompson could only see the heads of people moving in the crowd. So when Ryan Anderson stood on the podium as an outstanding student representative to lead everyone in the SAT pledge, Kylie Thompson secretly rejoiced. The graduation gown he wore was clean and wrinkle-free, and he had a faint expression on his face. The boy's gentle voice came from the microphone, like the spring breeze in March, like the sweet rain in early spring. "We will bring glory to our alma mater with excellent grades." Pledgers' scattered voices rose and fell from the stage. The microphone announced Pledger, Ryan Anderson. Kylie Thompson followed closely and said her name, Pledger, Kylie Thompson. That was the first time their names were put together in this way by Kylie Thompson. The SAT for arts and science students wasn't held at the same school, and Kylie Thompson didn't even have time to say good luck on the SAT to Ryan Anderson before the SAT came to an end. The next time she saw Ryan Anderson was on the day they returned to school to estimate their scores after the SAT. Everyone took the opportunity of taking graduation photos to gather on the playground and take photos with the people they wanted to take photos with. The graduation photos hadn't reached Kylie Thompson's class yet, and Kylie Thompson was lying on the window looking out at the playground. The science, class 11, class was taking graduation photos on the playground. Kylie Thompson looked at Ryan Anderson, who was surrounded by people, and felt indescribable in her heart. The sunlight hit him, and golden light spots jumped on his hair, and he was enveloped in light. For a moment, Kylie Thompson didn't know how to describe the scene. She didn't know whether to say that Ryan Anderson was standing in the light or that he himself was the light. That day, until the end, Kylie Thompson didn't have the courage to ask Ryan Anderson for a group photo. She just took a photo of his back from a distance. He stood against the light, on Kylie Thompson's last train of youth. August, in the tail end of that summer. Kylie Thompson received an acceptance letter from NYU, New York University, but Ryan Anderson didn't fill out NYU, New York University, as his first choice. That was what Kylie Thompson later heard from Luna Garcia, that Ryan Anderson's estimated SAT score was much higher than NYU, New York University's admission scores in previous years. The teacher suggested that he go to the University of Chicago, which was better than NYU, New York University. Fortunately, Ryan Anderson's SAT score was more than 20 points higher than the University of Chicago's scoreline that year. It was 1,476 kilometers, the distance from New York City to Chicago. That summer ended in a hurry, and before Kylie Thompson could even regret it, she was pushed by time towards her 18th birthday. She knew that this summer would end, and she and Ryan Anderson were going to embark on their own lives. Kylie Thompson thought, then she wished Ryan Anderson all the best for his future. During her 4 years at university, Kylie Thompson met a group of very good roommates from all over America. But only one roommate was from Chicago. She often heard this roommate talk about Chicago, sometimes the weather, sometimes the local food. Kylie Thompson didn't think about Ryan Anderson often, but occasionally when she heard these fragmented pieces, she would inadvertently think of her high school days. Those days of secretly admiring someone. At university, Kylie Thompson studied English. It was a major that had nothing to do with Ryan Anderson's computer science major. Kylie Thompson also liked this major, but when she heard the sentence "when I fall in love with you" from her headphones during the English Level 6 exam in her sophomore year, she still paused for 2 seconds. Kylie Thompson had 2 relationships during her 4 years at university. The first relationship was with someone in her major. Just because that boy's voice was 80% similar to Ryan Anderson's. This relationship ended with that boy's cold. The second relationship was with a computer science student. Although he was in the same major as Ryan Anderson, he didn't resemble Ryan Anderson in any way. At that time, Kylie Thompson felt that she had gotten over Ryan Anderson. But she didn't stay with that computer science boy for long. In less than a semester, Kylie Thompson broke up with him. The reason was that she hadn't fully invested herself in this relationship. Kylie Thompson only heard about Ryan Anderson occasionally from Luna Garcia when she went home for Christmas. Even after going to university, he was still the radiant Ryan Anderson he used to be. He had talent and looks. But every time Ryan Anderson was mentioned, Kylie Thompson would always be taken back to that summer. During the first semester of her senior year, a huge change occurred in the Thompson family. Mr. Thompson was knocked down by a motorcycle on the street on his way home from work. Because it was a winter night, it was dark early, and there were no passers-by to notice in time on the already remote road. By the time a kind person sent Mr. Thompson to the hospital, he had already missed the best time for treatment. Mr. Thompson didn't last 2 days in the hospital before passing away. Kylie Thompson took 2 days off from her internship company and rushed back to Los Angeles to see Mr. Thompson for the last time. Overnight, Kylie Thompson felt like she had grown up a bit. It was also because of Mr. Thompson's sudden death that Kylie Thompson changed her long-standing plan to stay in New York City after graduation, even though she was already interning at a well-known company in New York City. Mrs. Thompson, even though she was currently grieving the loss of her husband, still advised Kylie Thompson, continue to develop in a city bigger than Los Angeles. Kylie Thompson's mind was also in a mess, and she only said that she would consider it. But when Kylie Thompson returned to New York City, she met Ryan Anderson in the city. Her classmates from back then happened to be seniors, and the GRE written test was over. And those who weren't taking the GRE had already found internship companies. So the old classmates were clamoring to get the classmates studying at university in New York City together for a meal on New Year's Eve. Kylie Thompson returned to New York City on New Year's Eve. The dinner had started for a while when Kylie Thompson arrived in a hurry. The moment she opened the door, she was stunned. Because there was someone at the table she didn't expect to see: Ryan Anderson. Ryan Anderson obviously didn't recognize her, and only thought of her as an ordinary classmate. Seeing Kylie Thompson staring at him, he smiled politely and courteously at Kylie Thompson. After a few years, the boy had grown into a man. He hadn't changed much from back then, and he was almost identical to the Ryan Anderson in Kylie Thompson's memory. Although Kylie Thompson was surprised, she only paused for 2 seconds before withdrawing her gaze. "Kylie Thompson, come in quickly, over here." Her classmate from back then had also come to New York City for school, and had already saved a seat for her at the dinner table. And that seat happened to be next to Ryan Anderson. When Kylie Thompson walked towards Ryan Anderson, she subconsciously straightened the clothes she had been wearing all day. During the dinner, Kylie Thompson pieced together why Ryan Anderson was in New York City from the teasing of her old classmates. As graduation approached, everyone was considering their respective development issues. And Ryan Anderson was no different from others. He still chose to start a business in New York City, the city he loved most, just like 4 years ago. So before graduating, he came to New York City with several partners. Kylie Thompson appeared indifferent, but her heart skipped a beat. Back then, for Ryan Anderson's sake, she had filled out all her college applications for universities in New York City. But now, as soon as she had the idea of returning to Los Angeles after graduation, Ryan Anderson came to New York City. Kylie Thompson didn't say a word to Ryan Anderson during the entire meal. On the other hand, Ryan Anderson remembered this girl who kept picking at the fried chicken next to him. After the meal, everyone arranged to give people rides if they could. Kylie Thompson didn't expect that Ryan Anderson, who was standing next to her, would take the initiative to ask her, "Which neighborhood do you live in?" Kylie Thompson tensed up and stammered slightly, "Brooklyn." Ryan Anderson smiled under the streetlight. He said, "I'm also in Brooklyn, we're on the same way." By the time Kylie Thompson came back to her senses, she was already sitting in Ryan Anderson's passenger seat. The heater was on in the car, and a thin layer of fog covered the car window. Kylie Thompson couldn't see the scenery outside while sitting in the car. Ryan Anderson spoke first. "Are you from the arts class? I don't think I've ever seen you at high school number 2. Kylie Thompson lowered her head and fiddled with the corner of her phone case. Sure enough, he didn't remember. Her voice was muffled. "Yeah, I was in class 1. Ryan Anderson asked Kylie Thompson in a casual tone. "I heard them call you Kylie Thompson?" "Yeah, I'm Ryan Anderson." Kylie Thompson glanced at Ryan Anderson and said in a low voice, "I know." Ryan Anderson didn't hear clearly and asked, "What?" Kylie Thompson shook her head, "Nothing." "What major did you study at NYU, New York University?" "How did you know I was at NYU, New York University?" Kylie Thompson asked him. Ryan Anderson smiled. "I suddenly remembered that the dean told me that there was only one person in our grade who went to NYU, New York University, named Kylie Thompson." Kylie Thompson didn't expect him to remember this, maybe because NYU, New York University, was a dream of his. "English major. That's good," Ryan Anderson said. His voice was light, but it was heavy in Kylie Thompson's heart. The restaurant wasn't far from where Kylie Thompson lived. Because of her internship, Kylie Thompson had moved out and rented an apartment with her roommate at the beginning of her senior year. Ryan Anderson parked the car at the entrance of the neighborhood, and Kylie Thompson thanked him and got out of the car. As soon as she got out of the car, Kylie Thompson was enveloped in the coolness, and she tightened her coat and walked towards the entrance of the neighborhood. Just like in her senior year, she still didn't have the courage to ask Ryan Anderson for his contact information. Just when Kylie Thompson thought she and Ryan Anderson would never have any interaction again, Ryan Anderson's voice came from behind. She looked back and saw Ryan Anderson lowering the car window and leaning on it. His voice was as gentle and pleasant as it had been back then. Ryan Anderson asked her, "Kylie Thompson, can I add you on WeChat?" Kylie Thompson looked at the person who had been added to her WeChat list, and her heart was filled with mixed feelings. The person she didn't have the courage to approach back then, now at this critical moment, she had his contact information. Later, Kylie Thompson learned that Ryan Anderson's startup studio was on the floor above her internship company. One was on the 15th floor, and the other was on the 17th floor. The distance of 2 floors also brought them closer. Sometimes, when going to the office, Ryan Anderson would give Kylie Thompson a ride. Sometimes, when getting off work late, Kylie Thompson would bring takeout to the 17th floor, waiting for Ryan Anderson to get off work together. Ryan Anderson's university classmates started the business with him, one of whom was his roommate, Jake Martinez. Jake Martinez saw Kylie Thompson so often that he would occasionally joke around with Kylie Thompson and Ryan Anderson, calling Kylie Thompson's sister-in-law. Whenever Jake Martinez called her that, Kylie Thompson would subconsciously look at Ryan Anderson's reaction, but Ryan Anderson never reacted, leaving Kylie Thompson unsure of what to do. In the second semester of their senior year, as graduation approached, Kylie Thompson's class took graduation photos at the beginning of June. She didn't expect that day Ryan Anderson would bring a bouquet of flowers to her graduation ceremony. Kylie Thompson looked at Ryan Anderson standing under the tree in the distance, and the only words that came to her mind were serene years. That day, she wore her graduation gown, holding the sunflowers that Ryan Anderson gave her, and took their first photo together. The regrets of high school were filled on this day of university graduation. At the moment the shutter clicked, Kylie Thompson felt that she had never forgotten Ryan Anderson all these years. The temperature in New York City in June had already risen, and there was a hint of summer in the air. It must be said that after staying in New York City for 4 years, Kylie Thompson had fallen in love with the city. Kylie Thompson walked with Ryan Anderson on the NYU campus, shoulder to shoulder, like ordinary friends. She looked down and fiddled with the bouquet of sunflowers, as if she remembered something, and suddenly looked up to ask the person next to her, "What is the meaning of sunflowers?" Ryan Anderson stopped and turned to look at Kylie Thompson. His Adam's apple bobbed, and he said, "I only see you, everywhere I look." Kylie Thompson paused as she fiddled with the flowers, staring into Ryan Anderson's eyes, forgetting to blink. Another summer. She heard Ryan Anderson ask her, "Kylie Thompson, would you consider being with me?" The summer wind carried a salty taste, and Kylie Thompson's brain was repeatedly occupied by this sentence again and again. She heard herself say, "Okay." Upon graduating from university, Kylie Thompson received a full-time offer from the company. She naturally stayed in New York City with Ryan Anderson. It was only after they were together that Kylie Thompson learned that Ryan Anderson didn't live in the same Brooklyn as her when he first offered to take her home. He just told a kind lie to make it seem like he was going the same way. Ryan Anderson's initial entrepreneurship wasn't smooth, but later it gradually got on the right track. Their lives went from a one-bedroom apartment to a two-bedroom apartment, and later, they raised a cat together. It was the summer of their first year together that Kylie Thompson picked up a kitten downstairs from the office building. Ryan Anderson named the cat Summer. In the summer of 2014, Ryan Anderson's company had serious financial problems. Jake Martinez, who used to joke around and call Kylie Thompson's sister-in-law, disappeared with a large amount of the company's funds, which was all the money for the next project. In other words, Ryan Anderson was set up by his partner. Overnight, the project was suspended, and the employees were either dismissed or resigned. The 17th floor was suddenly empty, and everything that could be used to pay off debts was taken away. Even the house that Ryan Anderson had bought for Kylie Thompson in New York City to get married was mortgaged to the bank. This change caught Ryan Anderson off guard, and his efforts since university were destroyed overnight. It also made such a proud person bend over suddenly from the pressure of life. Ryan Anderson couldn't understand why Jake Martinez would take that money. Real estate prices had soared in those years, especially in New York City, where every inch of land was precious. Kylie Thompson took the depressed Ryan Anderson in summer and moved from a two-bedroom apartment back to a one-bedroom apartment. Fortunately, Kylie Thompson had a sum of money in the bank that she had been saving since university, which now became the family's emergency funds. That summer was bitter and gloomy in Kylie Thompson's memory. This blow didn't make Ryan Anderson stand up again immediately. All his bad emotions burst out when he saw a strange man driving Kylie Thompson home. That was the first time Kylie Thompson saw a different Ryan Anderson. He didn't get angry with Kylie Thompson, nor did he vent his anger at home. He just hugged Kylie Thompson for a long time, and then calmly proposed to break up with her. Kylie Thompson didn't agree. That was also the first time she saw Ryan Anderson cry in front of her. That night, the cicadas outside the window were chirping fiercely. They lived on the second floor of an old neighborhood, and there was a towering tree outside the window. Because of saving electricity, Kylie Thompson didn't turn on the air conditioner. In the 95 degrees Fahrenheit weather, there was only a floor fan working in the room, making a whirring sound. Kylie Thompson only closed the screen window, and the hot summer wind blew in from the holes in the screen window, making people feel hot all over. The lights in the room were not turned on, and the moonlight outside shone in, reflecting white and black patches in the room. Ryan Anderson hugged Kylie Thompson from behind, resting his head on her shoulder. His voice was low and a little slurred, but Kylie Thompson still heard it clearly. Ryan Anderson asked her, "Kylie Thompson, should we have a baby?" Kylie Thompson, who had originally closed her eyes, opened them. She turned over in Ryan Anderson's arms. In the dark night, Ryan Anderson's eyes were still bright. So bright that Kylie Thompson almost agreed to him without thinking. In the end, reality pulled her back. If they wanted a child now, could they provide the child with a future guarantee? She couldn't, and Ryan Anderson couldn't either. Kylie Thompson felt the temperature around her gradually rising, and her clothes were stuck to her body with sweat. This sticky feeling made her feel uncomfortable all over, and she found an excuse to break free from Ryan Anderson's arms and went to the bathroom. After taking a shower, she felt much refreshed. The chaotic thoughts in her mind also became much clearer. Kylie Thompson tiptoed back to the room, and the moonlight in the room only increased. Ryan Anderson was facing the window, with his back to Kylie Thompson. Over this period of time, he had lost a lot of weight, and his shoulder blades on his back stretched out the clothes into two bumps. Kylie Thompson didn't know if he was asleep or not, but even so, she lay back on the bed and hugged Ryan Anderson from behind. Kylie Thompson was silent for 2 seconds, then leaned to Ryan Anderson's ear and whispered, "We can't have children yet." She could feel Ryan Anderson's whole body stiffen in her arms. Kylie Thompson paused for a moment, not giving him time to think wildly, and continued, "But, Ryan Anderson, will you marry me?" Kylie Thompson thought that Ryan Anderson took the initiative to ask for her WeChat, and he also took the initiative to say they should be together. So this time, she would take the initiative to propose marriage. The two rushed to City Hall to get their marriage certificate at the end of summer. When Kylie Thompson came out of City Hall, her hands were still shaking a little. There was no diamond ring, no wedding dress, and no decent wedding. Kylie Thompson just married herself to Ryan Anderson. After getting their marriage certificate, the lives of the two didn't actually change much. Ryan Anderson sent resumes to various companies, and fortunately, he received several good offers not long after sending them out. At the same time, the police also arrested Jake Martinez in a small town in Iowa. Kylie Thompson also heard Ryan Anderson say that Jake Martinez's father was addicted to gambling and heavily in debt, and he had no choice but to misappropriate the company's funds. Part of the funds was recovered, but it was enough to pay off Ryan Anderson's remaining debts. Everett Hing seemed to be on the right track. The two families agreed to set the wedding date at the end of the following summer. Ryan Anderson was busy with the wedding, but Kylie Thompson became a hands-off shopkeeper. The wedding venue and guests were all taken care of by the elders of both families in Los Angeles. It wasn't until Kylie Thompson walked down the aisle in her wedding dress that she felt like she was really getting married. The bridesmaid was undoubtedly Luna Garcia, who couldn't believe it from the time Kylie Thompson and Ryan Anderson got together, and it wasn't until the two stood at the door to greet the guests today that she really came back to her senses. Ryan Anderson was just planted in Kylie Thompson's hands. The wedding went very smoothly. It wasn't until the MC said, "The groom may kiss the bride," that Kylie Thompson realized that Ryan Anderson's hands had been trembling slightly. Kylie Thompson thought that they were really good at that time. After the wedding, the two returned to New York City. The pace of life in New York City was much faster than in Los Angeles, and the two didn't even go on a honeymoon, but went straight back to work. In 2016, the internet was developing rapidly, and Ryan Anderson resigned from the company without consulting Kylie Thompson and began preparing for his second venture. The company where Kylie Thompson worked was getting worse and worse, and there were rumors of layoffs. And it happened that the supervisor in charge of the layoffs was the one who had sent Kylie Thompson home and pursued her unsuccessfully. Kylie Thompson was not on the layoff list, but now she was added to it. When Kylie Thompson returned home early with a box of materials, she unexpectedly saw Ryan Anderson at home, who shouldn't have been there at this time. "Why are you home?" Kylie Thompson sat on the short stool at the door and changed her slippers. Ryan Anderson sat on the sofa, sorting out the information, and said, "Cass. Yuli, I quit my job and I'm going to start a business." Kylie Thompson's hand holding the slippers hung in the air. "Why didn't you discuss quitting your job with me?" Ryan Anderson looked up at Kylie Thompson and suddenly became speechless. He didn't know why he was afraid to tell Kylie Thompson, whether he was afraid of his second failure or afraid of Kylie Thompson's opposition, he didn't know. For a while, all the explanations were stuck in his throat, and there was a long silence in the air. Seeing that she was holding a box of things when she came home, Ryan Anderson chose to change the subject. "Why did you come back so early today?" Kylie Thompson put her shoes in the shoe cabinet and said after a few seconds of silence, "I was laid off." "Why were you laid off?" Ryan Anderson didn't understand. Kylie Thompson shook her head, not wanting to explain to Ryan Anderson. "It's okay, rest at home for a while, I'll support you during this time." Ryan Anderson comforted her. In an instant, all the grievances that had been accumulating for a long time came up because of this sentence, and Kylie Thompson suddenly asked loudly, "What are you going to support me with?" Starting a business without discussing it with me? Or our little savings? Ryan Anderson was stunned by Kylie Thompson's roar, but he quickly reacted. Kylie Thompson really wanted to tell Ryan Anderson the reason why she was laid off, and she also wanted to get to the bottom of why he didn't discuss the matter of starting a business with her. But in the end, she didn't say anything, just turned around and went back to her room. Later, Kylie Thompson repeatedly recalled her 5-year marriage with Ryan Anderson and realized that they were already on different paths from this moment on. Ryan Anderson would do whatever he wanted to do, no matter how hard or tired he was. But she, Kylie Thompson, was not such a person. She was content with the status quo and wanted only a stable life. Ryan Anderson was the first to soften in this quarrel. He promised Kylie Thompson that he would discuss everything with her before making a decision in the future. Kylie Thompson didn't say anything more. In the days that followed, Kylie Thompson resubmitted her resume and chose a good offer. It's just that she and Ryan Anderson worked in the East and West, and both of them were starting from scratch, so they had less time to spend together at home than before. 2017. Ryan Anderson's company caught up with the new era of the internet, and the company's team developed rapidly in 1 year, from a team of only a dozen people to a large group of dozens of people. The company undertook more and more businesses, and Ryan Anderson spent less and less time at home. As their conditions gradually improved, they took summer and moved back to a larger house than the previous 2-bedroom apartment, and they also changed to a better car than before. But Kylie Thompson was not doing well in the new company, and she had no one to talk to about what happened at the company when she returned home. She suddenly missed the previous them, although the house was not big, but at least there was someone to talk to. Luna Garcia's wedding was scheduled for the winter of 2017 in New York City. Kylie Thompson wanted Ryan Anderson to go with her, but it happened that Ryan Anderson was going on a business trip those 2 days, so she had to give up. The plane ticket from New York City to New York City was in the early morning, and Ryan Anderson hadn't returned home until the time to take Kylie Thompson to the airport. Kylie Thompson didn't dial that familiar number, but pushed her suitcase and locked the door and went downstairs. As soon as she walked to the entrance of the neighborhood, she saw Ryan Anderson's car slowly driving towards the entrance of the neighborhood. Ryan Anderson stopped the car in front of Kylie Thompson, got out of the car and helped her lift the suitcase into the trunk. "Why didn't you wait for me to come back?" After Kylie Thompson got into the car, she fastened her seatbelt and replied, "I was afraid you wouldn't make it back and miss the plane. There were red lights all the way back, which delayed some time." Ryan Anderson explained. Kylie Thompson nodded and said nothing. It had been 3 days since she last saw Ryan Anderson. Now that they met, they felt a little estranged. On the way to the airport, there were red lights all the way. The car stopped several times in the middle, and Kylie Thompson felt a little awkward, so she found a topic to talk to Ryan Anderson about. "I gave Luna Garcia a wedding gift of $66,600. I promised her that in high school." As soon as she finished speaking, Ryan Anderson received a call. Listening to Ryan Anderson's tone, it felt like something urgent, so Kylie Thompson didn't say anything. Ryan Anderson took a moment to make a mouth shape to Kylie Thompson while answering the phone, and Kylie Thompson saw it too. What he said was, "Whatever you decide is fine." A phone call ended until they were almost at the airport, and the timing was just right, not giving the couple any more time to be alone. Ryan Anderson took out the luggage from the trunk and handed it to Kylie Thompson, and told her, "Remember to check your ID card, remember to take your boarding pass. If you're cold on the plane, ask the flight attendant for a blanket." Perhaps it was because she hadn't heard Ryan Anderson say so much in one breath for too long, Kylie Thompson felt a little hot in her heart. She nodded and said, "Okay." As Kylie Thompson took the suitcase and turned to leave, Ryan Anderson suddenly grabbed her and said, "Wife, give me a hug before you go." In Kylie Thompson's memory, Ryan Anderson rarely took the initiative to call her wife. Sometimes, even when the two quarreled, Ryan Anderson would call her Kylie Thompson seriously. She didn't know why that day, he, who was never good at calling her that, blurted out this title. Kylie Thompson didn't understand until the moment she boarded the plane. Some things, the authorities are confused, but the bystanders are clear. She couldn't see through the matter between her and Ryan Anderson, but Luna Garcia noticed something wrong between them at a glance. Before the wedding started, Luna Garcia pulled Kylie Thompson aside and asked in a low voice, "Are you and Ryan Anderson fighting?" "No." Kylie Thompson shook her head. "They really didn't have a fight." "Then why didn't he come to New York City with you?" Kylie Thompson thought for a while and said, "He's too busy." "Stop it. The person who had to follow you even when you went to change your wedding dress back then is now willing to let you come to New York City alone?" Luna Garcia said disdainfully. This year, even Kylie Thompson herself couldn't count how many times she had used the excuse Ryan Anderson is too busy to prevaricate things. Luna Garcia continued to ask her, "Is it because his business is getting better and better, and he has someone outside?" Kylie Thompson shook her head. No. She couldn't say what was wrong between her and Ryan Anderson. But when she looked at Luna Garcia walking down the aisle in her wedding dress, firmly walking towards the groom, she seemed to see herself walking firmly towards Ryan Anderson back then. At that time, she just wanted to have a result with Ryan Anderson. If Luna Garcia's words had given her a hint, then what happened in 2019 was the last straw that broke their marriage. That year, Kylie Thompson was 29 years old. She and Ryan Anderson had been married for 4 years. In these 4 years, Ryan Anderson's company had steadily developed into a large company, and he was getting closer and closer to his original dream. 2019. The cat they raised together, Summer, also left them that summer. That was because Ryan Anderson forgot to close the door when he came back to get the documents one time, and Summer ran out and was beaten to death by the nearby security guards as a stray cat. Because of this, Kylie Thompson was sad for a long time. She didn't know if this was a sign. Kylie Thompson always felt that Summer's departure seemed to foreshadow the ending of her and Ryan Anderson. Not long after Summer left, Kylie Thompson received a call from the Los Angeles hospital. This early summer, Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom, was diagnosed with late-stage stomach cancer. Because of this, Kylie Thompson decided to leave the city where she had stayed for 11 years and return to Los Angeles. When she heard Ryan Anderson say that he couldn't accompany her back to Los Angeles for the time being, Kylie Thompson felt a sense of relief in her heart for some reason. Perhaps from the beginning, she had no longer had any expectations of Ryan Anderson in this matter. Kylie Thompson resigned from the company, simply packed her luggage, and hurried back to Los Angeles. The hospital gave her 3 months, the last 3 months of Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom's life. Kylie Thompson stayed by Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom's side every day, never leaving for a moment. She told Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom, interesting things about working in New York City, and also about what happened at university, but she didn't say anything about her and Ryan Anderson. Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom, seemed to have noticed something. She slowed down her speech and said intermittently to Kylie Thompson, "Ryan Anderson is a reliable person. You married him when he was at his lowest." Mom didn't object, because Mom knew that he would be good to you. Now, your lives have also gotten better. Ryan Anderson is busy. You have to learn to understand. Mom doesn't want you to break up at this time. This long speech took too much of Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom's energy, and that night, Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom, slept for a long time, and then never woke up again. Kylie Thompson didn't cry as much as she did when she lost her father, because she knew that she was the only one left in this family. Ryan Anderson bought the earliest flight back the moment he learned the news. Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom's funeral was scheduled for the fall. After the funeral, Kylie Thompson proposed a divorce to Ryan Anderson. Kylie Thompson was dressed in black, with no expression on her face. She held an umbrella, standing in the rain. Beside her was Ryan Anderson, whom she hadn't seen for a long time. Kylie Thompson looked up at Ryan Anderson, her eyes met his pupils. Her reflection was clearly still in those black glass eyes, but she no longer wanted to sink into it. Ryan Anderson, let's get a divorce, Kylie Thompson said. The departure of Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom, finally made Kylie Thompson wake up from her dream. She finally woke up from the beautiful dream she had woven for herself. She and Ryan Anderson, maybe it was wrong from the beginning. If she hadn't overslept that summer, she wouldn't have met Ryan Anderson. If she hadn't filled out all her applications in New York City because of Ryan Anderson that summer, she wouldn't have stayed in New York City for 11 years. If she hadn't agreed to Ryan Anderson that summer, they wouldn't have been together. If she hadn't said let's get married to Ryan Anderson that summer, they wouldn't have had such a long marriage. For a moment, she didn't know whether to blame herself or Ryan Anderson, or blame one summer after another. She thought that nothing had changed between her and Ryan Anderson, but in fact, they had all changed. In this marriage, she never forgot all the good things Ryan Anderson did for her. It's just that the Ryan Anderson who could accompany her to the supermarket to buy groceries and cook was lost in the vast years, and what defeated them was just the trivialities of real read life. Ryan Anderson, let's get a divorce, Kylie Thompson repeated again. Ryan Anderson didn't know that there was no betrayal or life and death separation in this marriage. Why he and Kylie Thompson, why did they come to this point? And he always wanted to give Kylie Thompson the best, but forgot what Kylie Thompson wanted most. Kylie Thompson felt that the bravest thing she had ever done. It was on her 30th birthday that she said goodbye to Ryan Anderson, who had occupied most of her youth. Mrs. Thompson, Kylie's mom, left Kylie Thompson 2 houses in Los Angeles. One was prepared for Kylie Thompson to get married, but Kylie Thompson was in New York City all year round, so this house was left idle. The other house was the old house they lived in back then, and Kylie Thompson could sell it or keep it. Kylie Thompson returned to Los Angeles this time, renovated the new house, and moved in. Suddenly returning to the slow-paced city of Los Angeles, it took Kylie Thompson a while to adapt. Kylie Thompson took advantage of this time to apply for an English teacher in a high school, and no longer worked in the English field in the company. The Duan family moved to Chicago a few years ago, and Ryan Anderson didn't let him stay in a hotel this time. The house she lives in now has 1 bedroom and 1 living room. She lives in the bedroom, and Ryan Anderson lives in the living room. The two returned from Los Angeles High School number 2, said goodnight, and Kylie Thompson returned to her room. She couldn't sleep well, and Kylie Thompson always dreamed of what happened in high school that night, probably because she went back to Los Angeles High School number 2 with Ryan Anderson. She woke up in the middle of the night, and it was still 2 in the morning. Kylie Thompson was sleepy and walked to the refrigerator in the living room and poured a glass of lemonade. After drinking a glass of ice water, she became more sober. Ryan Anderson on the sofa didn't know what he was dreaming about at this time, and was muttering something. Kylie Thompson didn't want to go forward to listen, and planned to go back to her room after drinking this glass of water. But at the moment she turned around, Ryan Anderson's muttering suddenly became clearer, and the distance between them was enough for her to hear clearly. Can we not get divorced? Kylie Thompson, don't get divorced. It was false to say that there were no waves in her heart. Kylie Thompson quietly walked over and tucked the thin blanket over Ryan Anderson. The man on the sofa seemed to have changed a little from the boy in her memory. She squatted by the sofa, resting her chin in her hands and watching him. Kylie Thompson had never told Ryan Anderson about their first meeting. She always felt that it didn't matter if Ryan Anderson didn't remember. What was important was the present and the future. Ryan Anderson, do you remember? I don't know if you remember, but I always remember. That summer, I overslept during my afternoon nap, and you pulled me out of the sight of the head teacher. Our encounter was much earlier than you knew me. I originally thought that I could make you know me if I went to NYU. I didn't expect that we would miss each other for 4 years. Ryan Anderson, maybe life is always about missing each other. At 10 o'clock the next day, the two appeared at the entrance of City Hall on time. After coming out of City Hall, Kylie Thompson felt unprecedented relief. In the end, she accepted the house that Ryan Anderson insisted on compensating her, saying that it was compensation for the wedding house he took to mortgage that year that he gave to Kylie Thompson. The two said goodbye at the entrance of City Hall. After this farewell, I'm afraid they will never meet again. One is in Los Angeles and the other is in New York City. Just like back then, Kylie Thompson knew that Ryan Anderson would not be willing to return to Los Angeles with her. Just like she was unwilling to stay in New York City for him again. When neither of them was willing to compromise for the other, this relationship came to an end. Kylie Thompson called out to Ryan Anderson, "Ryan Anderson." Ryan Anderson turned his head to look at Kylie Thompson. The autumn sun shone on Ryan Anderson's body, making him seem to be plated with a layer of light. He came from the crowd, and now he will return him to the crowd. Kylie Thompson smiled in relief. Ryan Anderson, I wish you a bright future. At the end of the story, the prince will meet the princess, and Cinderella will also wear crystal shoes. It's just that Kylie Thompson can no longer grow old together with Ryan Anderson. Perhaps the snow that year was also a dream for her. Life is like a dream, and the dream is still summer.